RWorld, and welcome back to RWorld Talk. We are continuing our leadership series here for the month of December, getting in touch with all of our incoming executive leadership team for 2024. And I'm lucky enough to have with us Mr. Carlos Alleyne. Welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Pleasure to be here.
How are you?
I am excellent.
You're always excellent. Always got a big smile on your face. Always happy to serve. Always happy at every one of the events that we see you on. With 2024, obviously right on the horizon, tell us what you're excited about. What are you looking forward to for your big year now that you're joining the executive team as secretary?
Oh, I guess first of all, I like to be happy. What I'm excited about is, we have 38,000 members and, we see the same people serving every year. So I'm excited to step out there and reach out and bring all those other members that we don't get to see all the time into the fold. I think it's really important to have those people be part of, the family because they're going to be the future leaders. So we need to tap them now.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something that I know is on our president, David Searle's vision for 2024 is really trying to include as many members into this journey as he possibly can.
Awesome.
Happy to see that your values and sort of mission for 2024 are aligning with his already. When serving in leadership, obviously, we're going to have some times when you're not seeing eye to eye with everybody else that you're serving with. So certainly not with every leader on every subject, but that's really what makes this association tick and what makes the board as effective as possible is having different opinions coming to the table. But what are some tips to remain professional but still be confident in your stance when you don't agree on one of our topics?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I'm glad that we're actually seeing eye to eye here. But 3 simple tips I always use is very simple. Number 1, don't take it personally. Half the time people say things, we take it personally and we hear everything, but do we actually listen? And if we take the time to really listen to what the other person is saying, most of the times you can come to an agreement. It might be on totally opposite ends of the spectrum,
right,
but it actually works and you're able to get things done.
Sure.
Second of all, be professional. A lot of times when responding or reacting to people, we're not professional. So maybe the message gets sent that, we're upset or we don't like it or, we don't care. So if you're professional, if you're really active and proactive about being professional, their message comes across, yours comes across, and there's usually no real confusion.
Sure.
Third tip and final tip, I tell people, be grateful. It's very important to recognize and respect people. We're all different people from different places, and you have to kind of respect the way people think. And I think if you can find a common thread that works for everybody and be respectful, people will want to listen to you, and therefore you'll listen to them.
So find a little bit of common ground with everybody that you're dealing with.
Common ground is the only way to go.
Yeah. If we were sitting in a boardroom and everybody in the boardroom agreed on whatever the subject matter was, we'd never get anything done. We need varying opinions. We need people to be contradictory to whatever that topic is, to be really effective leaders and hear different opinions on whatever that subject matter may be. And always have an open mind, because sometimes somebody's going to give you a tidbit of information that's completely going to change the way that you think about things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get off the leadership journey for a moment. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Where do you come from?
I come from Barbados,
Okay.
A little tiny island in the Caribbean. Been in the U.S. for a while, and I kind of brought my ways and my culture with me. And it's worked really well because, everything in the U.S. is fast-paced, but in Barbados, everything's a little more relaxed.
That settling vibe.
Exactly. So we tend to take that into the boardroom or in meetings because sometimes people get so caught up, so hectic. There's friction. And every once in a while, you need to just slow it down, take it easy, and kind of take in what's going on. So
hey, we could use some of that, especially going into 2024 with all the hectic, crazy stuff that's happening in 2023.
I think we'll need it, and I think I'll be a great balance to the team. So
yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, you are most welcomed. What did you do before you got involved with the association and really started your real estate career? What was your previous career?
Well, it's really funny because, I always had a little pulse of real estate. I worked on Wall Street for 20 years. We worked with clients doing investment banking, managing money, trading. But all the while, all those clients had 2, 3, 4 homes. So they used to come to me and say, hey, I got a home in Boca. Do you know anybody who wants to buy it? I had no clue, nothing about real estate,
right,
but I could put buyers together because I knew that other clients wanted to buy. I knew other clients wanted to sell. So I called the attorney, they'll do all the work. So
okay,
I did all of that before real estate. And then I moved to Florida right around Hurricane Wilma. So
Okay.
I came in.
Hurricane that was never supposed to be.
Exactly. And, I worked managing Citibank for 5 years. When my contract was up, I figured, what do I do? My wife said, you know what? Do real estate. You're good at it. So that's what I did.
Hey, you're the real estate matchmaker, the money man turned matchmaker. So is Wall Street just as crazy as what we see in the movies?
Actually, I think it's a little crazier sometimes.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
In a better way. It's not wild and crazy, but it's really hectic.
Yeah.
You should really spend no more than 15 years because your stress level goes up, and it's just a crazy, crazy world. But a lot of exciting things.
Well, it's nice to see that your stress level came back down.
Well, it actually did. It really did, because when I first came to Florida, my stress level was up, my blood pressure was up. It's all changed now.
Okay. Did you have a taste of Florida before you actually moved here permanently?
No.
No? No, it was just did you just cut ties and go?
It was like, no more snow. It was cold.
Yeah.
I should have came here, but when I left Barbados, I wasn't smart.
Yeah.
I went to the cold first.
Well, Kara Johnson did the exact same thing. Yeah, she came from an island, went to New York, and then ended up back down here in Florida. Okay. Has throughout your years, has anybody ever shared some advice with you that's had a really long-lasting impact on you?
I think over the years, I've had advice, whether it was family members, co-workers, other leaders. There's always advice, they can take. And a lot of the advice is invest in yourself, gain more knowledge. Don't just sit there. Try to be a better person. Give back to society. Life is more than, going places and doing things. Get to meet people, build relationships. And sometimes in building relationships, both professionally and personally, it really gives you an idea of what's going on in the world. Right. Because as you volunteer, you might meet someone who is on the totally other end of the spectrum, someone who's not as privileged as you are, and you learn to, accept certain things, and you learn from those people, because most of the times when you volunteer, you see people who overcome adversity.
Right.
And it teaches you how to be resilient, teaches you how to be patient. So I've just had a collection of life lessons, whether it was from real estate clients, Wall Street clients, or family. And that's been my mantra, is to just kind of take those lessons, make myself better, and in turn, help make the world better.
Okay. So, Mr. Worldwide over here, you just mentioned, people from all different walks of life and different places, but you being involved with Florida Realtors on the Global Committee have had some pretty incredible trips that you've been on. Why don't you tell us about a few of those? Yeah,
it's been pretty incredible. Again, a great learning experience, and you meet so many wonderful people.
Yeah, there's great networking when you're traveling the world like that.
Super networking. And sometimes the networking is not necessarily selling real estate. It's really building relationships.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I always tell people, real estate is not about houses. It's about relationships. So the travels are great. We do in 2019, just at the height of COVID, I remember we were in 10 countries. Last year, we were in 16 countries in 12 months. But the one thing that's great about Global that I like is Florida is like the United Nations. Everybody in the world wants to be in the United States. And we were selling $54 billion in real estate last year.
Right.
And I would encourage all realtors to be a part of that. But more importantly, embrace the cultures. Cultures make us better. We eat different foods, we learn different things, we learn different habits. But when you melt that together, there's no stronger bond, because our common goals are the same.
Right.
We all love each other. We all want to live a great place. And there's space for everybody to coexist. And I think if we can encompass that, it'll be great. And on top of it, you get to travel to some really cool countries. And most of all,
try some different foods.
Yeah. And promote the realtor family, because what we take for granted here in the U.S., practicing real estate, it's not practiced like that around the world. So we've really got it good here.
But yeah, we've got the best system in the world, and people envy us for it.
Absolutely.
Yep. So on that global front, you're traveling the world. I know that we have lots of different designations that are offered by the National Association of Realtors. Would you think that it's worth it for somebody to go out and seek out their CIPS designation if they're going to be involved in global?
That's a really good question. I definitely think so. I can give you a perfect example.
Okay.
I've taken the CIPS, but I've had realtors who said to me, I don't need it. I have clients from this country. But we've also seen on many of our trips, a lot of faux pas committed.
Oh, yeah.
They've gone out there, for example, they've gone out and tried to shake the hands of women in the Middle East. That's not allowed. They've gone out there and spoken to Japanese people in the way they shouldn't be. They've met Russian people and they don't know the protocol. So the CIPS really is a guideline how to work with cultures. There's a book called Kiss, Bow, and Shake Hands. And the author of that book was hired by the White House to teach them how to interact with officials from different countries. Okay. So it behooves me, if you're going to be an international realtor, not to take the CIPS, because it really will teach you how you're going to interact with a client. It's the difference between earning the trust of a foreign buyer or a seller or not earning that trust. And once people see that you understand their culture, you respect their culture, they're going to be more likely to do business with you than if you go out there and you don't care.
When I went to Dubai as part of the Florida Realtors Trade Mission, I distinctly remember going through the course on exactly what you should and should not do when you're in the Middle East to respect their culture. And the things that I saw when we were there, the very first thing that popped into my mind when I saw a couple of people doing these things, I was just like, you're not going to be respected by the people that we're talking to right now. So I'm going to move over here and talk to these people and act properly and act professionally. And when we get back on that bus, I'm going to give you a few tips on what you did, because the next meeting that we have, you really shouldn't repeat those habits.
And that's really cool that you did that, because that shows professionalism and it shows that you're quite aware of your surroundings. And I can tell you, we just ended a trip in Paris. And I was quite surprised on that trip that some people in the room knew who Florida Realtors were. They knew from the reputation. Everybody said, that's a group. They're powerful, they're professional, they know what they're doing. And suddenly everybody gravitated to us because we knew the protocols, we knew how to talk to people, we knew how to act. And that makes a huge difference in the business world.
Right. So it wasn't just because they like the flamingos.
Oh, no, it's not just the flamingos, it's just a little bit of gravy.
So let's get back to the potential experiences that we may encounter and problems that we may encounter at the executive level, going through carrying this association forward in 2024. Do you have any sort of specific approach or methodology when creating solutions to any of the problems that we might end up encountering in the next year?
Well, for me, I've always kind of had the same protocol with any problem, and it works whether personally or professionally. First, you need to identify and admit that there is a problem.
Okay.
Because until you admit there's a problem, you're not going to address it. Once you've discovered there's a problem, then you have to figure out, how to solve that problem, what you're doing wrong. You also have to be open. You have to listen. You have to be open-minded. Because if you're not willing to admit that this is causing an issue, you're not going to want to seek the difficult task of finding out how you fix the problem.
Sure.
So once you've figured out what the problem is, then you find solutions to that problem. And you seek the advice of people around you, because we don't know everything.
That's why we have a board. We're not acting as one-man show.
Exactly. And once you've got all the data, you figured out the solution, then you implement the data, and you also need to document how you implement the data. And then finally, of course, you roll it out, you seek, advice, feedback, and then you keep improving. I mean, life is one big improvement.
Right.
Know?
Lifelong learners.
Yeah. And then failure. You must recognize that failure is an opportunity for you to improve.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem we find with a lot of leaders.
And it's also inevitable at points.
Oh, yeah. Failure just makes you good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of us would be in the places that we're in.
I'm always failing. I fail every day.
Failure. Well, hey, that's how we know what not to do.
Correct.
Yeah, you got to fail at it a few times. And that's, people who have been in this business for a very long time, they're so good at what they do because of how many times they fell on their face, picked themselves back up again, dusted themselves off, and made themselves stronger the following day.
That's right.
Yep. How about a memory in leadership that's made you realize sort of why you are giving your time? Because this is a big task, and it's a lot of time that we give up really to serve our members and to serve the consumer. What is it that's driving you in order to get up every day and say that you're going to go out there and serve the greater good?
Well, I guess I'm very lucky because from a young kid, my grandparents taught me to give back. Even on Sunday in Sunday school, you had to go volunteer, help the kids that weren't so well off. You had to go help people who weren't well off, feed them, do all those things. Right. Then when I came to New York, I used to volunteer for Citibank. We used to go feed the homeless on Thanksgiving. So I'm used to volunteering, but I think for me, the one thing that sticks with me and my why is that it makes the world a better place. You learn things. There's an intrinsic value in giving back and volunteering. You can have all the money in the world, but you can't get the gratification that you have when you give back, when you know you're making a difference in someone's life. And in the same way, when people do things for you, you feel a little bit special because you don't expect it. And that in turn gives you the gratification of knowing that when you give back, when you do things, when you volunteer, you're doing it for the greater good. Because at the end of the day, the world is not just one person. It's all of us. And if we all give back, it makes the world a better place. It makes you feel good. And you leave the impression on someone that may be looking up to you that you don't know is looking up to you. And that's been the case with me. There's so many people that have left their mark on me in my life that probably don't know it. But I've watched what they've done. They've led by example. And a lot of the leaders we have in our association now, they've led by example when I first came in. And that's probably why I'm as good as I am.
Awesome. So good to hear. I know that, let's see. You said Hurricane Wilma. So that's what, 2008?
2005.
2005. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was 2005. Okay, so you've been down here for 18 years now, right? 2005, yep. 18 years. So we always ask this of everybody who's on the podcast. Why don't you share with us a little Florida gem, something that you love about living in Florida? It could be a restaurant or a special little spot on the beach or a park or an art gallery, anything.
Gee, I don't know if I have a Florida gem. My Florida gem is just living in Florida itself. and the reason is that Florida is so easy for everything. In half an hour, I could be in the Bahamas. In an hour, I'm in another Caribbean country. Yep. What I like about Florida, my gem is just really the melting pot of people in Florida. I go to all different restaurants in all different places, but for me, it's the people. I love people, and I love people from different cultures. And Florida is the one place that I can go to a really fine restaurant, and I'll find somebody that's not even from Florida. I think I've only met 3 people who were actually born in Florida in all the time I've been here. So for me,
and we've got 2 of them on the exec team.
Exactly, yeah. I was shocked the other day when I found that out. But for me, it's really, the whole lifestyle of Florida. I feel so much more at home here than anywhere else in the world because everybody's different. Everything's different. The food's different. The people's different. Gosh dang, the weather's different. So right. I love it that way.
I would have thought for sure you would have said high tea at the Breakers.
Well, that's not quite really true high tea. I don't think there's a real high tea place in Florida.
No, probably not. Okay, well, I am going to let you get back to it. But before we do that, I was just thinking we are almost at the new year.
Yes.
So do you have a New Year's wish for all of our listeners?
The New Year's wish would be go out there and treat each other, your neighbors, everybody. Do something kind. I mean, kindness is free. Just do one little thing this year and early next year. It makes a difference in people's life. It's going to make you feel good. And if we just spread a little more joy, the world will be a much better place.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And that's why you're here and that's why you're in leadership. Well, thank you so much for being with us. It's certainly been a pleasure. I will see you in 2024. And for all you guys that are listening, thank you so much for listening to RWorld Talk. Thank you for supporting us this year. We're going to be back here in 2024 to keep this thing going and bring you guys as much relevant content as we possibly can. And just thank you for an incredible year. And with that, I think that was my last presidential duty.
Thank you very much. And thanks for all you did. And thank you for what you're going to continue to do.
Well, thank you very much. All right, guys, we'll see you back here in 2024.